All right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody today? Thank you for coming out. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Sergeant George W. Hamilton Jr. Bridge Dedication Day. It's our first dedication for 2026. It's going to be a great year. We have a lot of background on a lot of guys we've already started. We've got a couple coming up already as well. Today we're going to continue the partnership we started with the county 3 years ago. Today will be our 20th dedication with the county, which seems incredible when I think back on it. As I drove up here today, I was zigzagging across the county, coming across some of the bridges we did, and just thinking about how this adventure has been so good for so many people. And how the county and I have really changed lives. I'm convinced of that, and today we'll see that again when we talk to this family. Today we're going to dedicate Bucks County Bridge 138 in honor of Sergeant George W. Hamilton Jr., killed in action July 11th, 1968. Please stand for the presentation of the colors by the Wallace Willard Keller American Legion Post 242 Color Guard. U.S. Marine Gus Callis, accompanied by Tiffany McKinney for the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem.
Mark time, mark. Detail, hope, love, faith. Those with phones, please silence them as we prepare for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready? Two. Orders, hung. Not yet.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready? Two.
Order, on. Order, on. Ceremonial ready.
Thank you, guys and gals. So today, as I said, you may all sit, please. as I said, I was driving up here today and I wandered over some bridges that we'd already dedicated, thinking about the families and that we've found and talked to and met and still have a contact with, and how it's changed things for them and for me for sure, and I'm sure for most of the people that are at these dedications every month. The Gold Star family, as we talk about, doesn't always know what to expect. There's no rule book, there's no rules to follow, there's no guidelines. When I met Dar, George's widow, she wasn't sure what would take place today. Didn't know if anybody could recognize him or would ever recognize him. And in her mind, I think the thing that we all fear is that George was forgotten and her family was forgotten. So that journey opens up another whole page of emotions and thoughts, previews and expectations. Our job, I think, as a community is to make those expectations true and bring them to life by making sure that we, as a community, as a government, as some hoodlum from Pendle, as veterans, to make sure that we do not forget George Hamilton Jr. or his wife or his sister or his family that he never got to meet. That is what our job is. That is what our responsibility is to a Gold Star family. A Gold Star family's responsibility is just to try and get to the next day and make sense of it all. One day, you're a family, your loved one is in combat. The next day, none of those things are true. Everything changes. Someone knocks on your door, and you are given the worst information there could ever possibly be to another human being. So for us, I think we should all try and think about that as we go forward in everything we do. When we pass some of these bridges, not the ones that we do, but there's plenty of bridges now. We've started a trend that you can see that are dedicated to somebody. Pause for a moment and think about who that person was, the family that they may have left behind. I'd like to recognize Natalie from Frank Ferry's or Senator Frank Ferry's office is here to join us today, so thank you, Natalie, for coming out. I'd like to introduce Warwick Township Supervisor Robin Tabor.
Thank you, Ed, and thank you for that beautiful rendition of the anthem. Good morning, everyone. I'm Robin Tabor, one of Warwick Township's supervisors, and it's my privilege to be here this morning on behalf of the township to participate in this very special ceremony to honor one of Warwick's own. This is Warwick Township's first bridge dedication as part of this program, so it's even more special. Such a meaningful initiative. What a great idea to dedicate bridges as lasting memorials to ensure that the names and sacrifices of our Vietnam veterans are permanently woven into the fabric of the communities that they called home. Bridges that once simply carried us from one side to the other now carry forward the memory of those who gave their lives in service to our nation. It is in that spirit that we dedicate this bridge in honor of Sergeant George W. Hamilton, Jr., a son of Bucks County, who answered the country's call during the Vietnam War. Sergeant Hamilton served with distinction in Vietnam, fulfilling his duties with courage and commitment, serving alongside his fellow soldiers in difficult and dangerous conditions. In July of 1968, at just 21 years old, Sergeant Hamilton was killed in action. Like so many of his generation, his life was cut short in service to a cause greater than himself. today, this bridge stands not only as infrastructure, but as a permanent reminder, as Ed said, a reminder that the freedoms we enjoy were made possible by individuals like Sergeant Hamilton, and that Bucks County keeps its promise to remember them. On behalf of Warwick Township, as we dedicate this bridge in his name, may all who cross it be reminded of his sacrifice. May this bridge stand for generations as a tribute to his service, as a symbol of our connection to our past, to our present, and an expression of a grateful community that we'll never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. It is a bridge still, but it's going to be his bridge, and I was jealous of the guy that rode his bike over it about an hour ago. He looked like he was having fun. He'll be surprised tomorrow when it has a name on it. I'd like to introduce Diane Marseglia, one of our county commissioners.
Good morning, and as was said, this is indeed our first bridge for this year, and to tell you the truth, I missed doing these bridges. I missed the honor of these ceremonies. I missed learning about these young men. I missed being able to talk to their families and understand a little bit about them. And honestly, every time we have done one of these bridges, I have felt a little bit like we were fixing a wrong. Maybe we were straightening a missed opportunity, and I felt like we were apologizing that we didn't do this sooner. So I am glad to be back on this mission. We have a lot of gratitude to show in the next few months. Young men like Sergeant George Hamilton answered the call at an extremely divisive and difficult time in our country. And given the state of our current country and the conflict we are facing, I remember just enough of Vietnam that I have a little bit of deja vu happening, which makes me maybe more keenly aware and empathic of how his widow must have felt, how he must have felt, and his family when he was ready to deploy. And despite those thoughts, despite how he felt, this young man carried the duty and obligation to serve to a place that was very far away, and very far away from where we are. So I need him to know that in gratitude, I need to say that we see you, and we honor you, and we remember you. And just as a bridge will connect the past to today to the future, it's my hope that this dedication will serve as a conduit to connect that history, present, and future. I hope that everyone who crosses this bridge stops for just a moment to remember Sergeant George Hamilton, and then another moment for all those who have served. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Like Diane, I too have missed being able to share these stories and share the days of these guys that we've recognized. We do a lot of research to figure out who they were, not as a soldier, because anybody can figure that part out, but as a person. Who were they? You know, who is George Hamilton? He was a soldier, yes, but he was also a wife. He was a son. He was a sister, or a brother, excuse me. And he had family and friends that played ball, worked on cars. He was a draftsman. So he had other things in his life other than he was just a soldier. And they're the parts of the person that we like to figure out and find out. And hopefully the family will share some of those things with you later on today. I'd like to introduce U.S. Army veteran Peter Chung.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So Ed and I talked about this bridge dedication ceremony, specifically about the Bronze Star Medal with Valor and the Bronze Star that that Sergeant George Hamilton received for his actions on that day in Vietnam. Unfortunately, Vietnam veterans, when they came home, they did not get the yellow ribbon around the trees, the thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you have done for this country. But you guys paved the way for the post 9/11 generation to get that thank you for your service no matter where we go. So, what Ed and I decided was to present the family the Bronze Star that I received from my second deployment to Afghanistan to present to the families.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to ask Dar and Phyllis to come stand next to the sign, if you don't mind. We just saw Peter give Dar a Bronze Star. So a Bronze Star is a pretty high award in the military world. George was given a Bronze Star with a V device for valor. He was awarded that because his platoon was ambushed, and the three people in charge of his platoon, the three top sergeants, were cut off and captured by the Viet Cong. George was not in charge of anything at that point in his career. He was just George. But he immediately organized the rest of the platoon, took charge, advanced on the Viet Cong, and got his three commanding sergeants back and safely. So he was given a Bronze Star with valor. To me, that's incredible, and certainly well-deserving, as Peter just so selfishly shared. At this time, I'd like them to unveil that sign that will read Sergeant George W. Hamilton Jr. Memorial Bridge.
Assembly and salute.
Color guard. Present arms.
Ready? Two.
Order arms. Order arms.
I'd like to introduce the family now. If they'd like to say a few words, feel free.
All right, no problem.
You're good.
And I said, Mother Nature gave us this weather, so I would keep it short. The first thing I just want to tell you is there are words to describe George. He was courageous, he was brave, he was a hero. He was kind, trustworthy, genuine. He brought allergies, light, love, and laughter into every life he touched. He just did. And those of you who knew him know that. There's a couple people I want to thank. First of all, Linda, stand up. That's the matchmaker. Yep, it is. George and I met on a Thursday night with her. She lied to him and told him I wanted to go out with him. She lied to me and told me he wanted to go out with me. We met again that Saturday night, and we were never apart willingly after that. We were married for 1 year and 3 days. So I'm in Hawaii on R&R in June, so we had an early anniversary. Waved goodbye at the airport and waved goodbye. There's things I learned about George that I don't think I knew then. George loved to write. He would write stories, I guess. Brilliant, brilliant. And some of them were returned. So I read them over and over. The one is Questions of a Confused Soldier. Interesting. My favorite is, thank you, Christmas Eve Thoughts About a Wife. It's pretty darn cool. And the last line, after making wives into something that most of us know we really aren't, but he made it out to be beautiful, the last line is, and that's why there's springtime every time a baby girl is born. So if that's not a tearjerker, I don't know what is. It took a long time to get over it, and as anybody who's experienced something like this will. You go from darkness to fog, and then life goes on. And I was lucky, and I remarried, and that time Navy, and Army, Navy, and so now I have 2 flags, and have 3 beautiful daughters, 2 of whom are here. One couldn't make it. An incredibly beautiful granddaughter, and some grandsons. Boys are odd to me, but since I'm a girl mom, but life went on. Life is good. I've had many, many blessings in my life, and it really started with George. I wrote on his picture that he brought light into my life that I didn't even know I needed. And that's him. It's summed up. Those of you who know him know that. Those of you who didn't, I hope you know it now. And I thank you all for being here. Oh, that's it. Now I'm going to go cry. This one. I fell in love with this man. He has been, he just has been that light there. He cares so much. Thank you. Okay, now I'm done.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Matt Allen, Director of Bucks County Veterans Affairs.
That's tough to follow. Question for you.
Yes, sir.
Who do you root for, Army or Navy, during the Army-Navy football game? Good answer. I didn't wear a coat today because I knew Ed was going to wear shorts and t-shirt, so I'll get started. Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to be here this morning for the first dedication of 2026. I want to thank Ed and the commissioners for allowing this program to continue. Yes, this is our 20th dedication. We still have a lot more to go for all those that were killed in action in Vietnam from Bucks County. Now, I'm not here to talk about how Sergeant George Hamilton passed away, but we are here because he did in fact pass away in action. There are 58,000 plus Americans that died in Vietnam. What we also know is that we lost thousands more due to suicide and the effects of what was caused from Agent Orange. We are here, however, to keep Sergeant George Hamilton's legacy alive. I was told this is a cut-through for residents of Warwick Township. Now everyone that comes through down this street will see his name and read his name as they pass this bridge. Now many may not go, hey, let me look up this individual's name and read his name, but some may, and his legacy again will live on, and they can see what he did. When he passed, all of his friends and family's lives changed forever. Now, just shy of 60 years since his death, it still is reminded how much and how difficult it was for the family. To those who are still continuing to struggle with mental health from Vietnam and are still fighting the ailments caused from Agent Orange, please reach out to somebody. Call 988. There are people here to help, and we all want to continue on together. I want to keep this short because it is a little chilly and I need to get my coat back on. So thank you all for your time. And to Sergeant George Hamilton, your name will be carried on forever. Thank you all.
So Matt is currently still on active duty and has just been promoted to senior chief. So please, let's congratulate my friend Matt. I'd also like to introduce Shannon Fraley, Air Force veteran from Brian Fitzpatrick's office.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. On behalf of Congressman Fitzpatrick, I'd like to present you with a flag and a citation. The flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol at the request of the Honorable Brian Fitzpatrick, Member of Congress, in honor of Sergeant George W. Hamilton, Jr., United States Army Vietnam War veteran.
Thank you, Shannon. I'd like to introduce Bob Harvey. As we said, this is our 20th dedication, and without Bob, this wouldn't have started. So, Bob, thank you again, and Bob Harvey.
Thank you, Ed. And Ed, of course, is leaving out an important part of the story, which is that he is the one who really initiated this program. We talked about this maybe 4 years ago, dedicating a PennDOT bridge that connected Pendle with Langhorne Manor. And he talked about the fact that it took him a long time to get that bridge dedicated to a Marine Corps. It was a private Candy, right? Was it Candy? It took a long time for him to work with PennDOT to get that bridge dedicated. And, he said, there were 136 young men from Bucks County who lost their lives in Vietnam, and some have had things dedicated to them, but most, of course, had not. And that was the catalyst to get this program started, because the county has over 100 bridges, like the one obviously we're dedicating today, and so it just made sense for us to start working together. Think about what you were doing when you were 21 years old. Might be tough to think back that far. Memories get foggy thinking back. Maybe you were in college, maybe you were working somewhere, hanging out on the weekends, spending time at the shore in the mountains, hanging with family. Maybe if you were a member of the military, you might have a more vivid memory of where you were when you were 21, of where you were stationed, of who your sergeant was, who your lieutenant was, who your commander was, what you were doing. But to be 21 years old, and it sounds so young, because it is, to be 21 years of age and commanding men in combat halfway around the world in a war that maybe you didn't understand, but you knew you were there because your country needed you. We send our young men and women off to fight our battles, and many don't come home. We send them when they're so young, and there's so much that they don't experience for those who don't return. But they leave memories behind. They leave loved ones behind. Even loved ones they didn't get a chance to meet will carry their memory. As Ed said at the beginning, it is important for us to never forget. This is a wonderful crowd to come out on a chilly April morning. And we certainly appreciate you being here, appreciate members of the media being here. But in all honesty, even if we had no one here, and only one person to have the flag, hold the flag, it would still be worth doing. So they remember Sergeant Hamilton and the sacrifice he paid. So it is our honor as a county to have partnered with Ed and the Pennsylvania Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund to make these programs happen. I do want to thank the Honor Guard who's here for their service, the Warriors Watch who are here, all the other veterans who came. I want to thank our Public Works Department for the county, for the work, the General Services for the work they did, putting this together, our communication staff for the work they did, Warwick Township, Police Department, Fire Police for their cooperation, and certainly we look forward to doing more of these. You can, on the Bucks County website, our Bucks County Planning Commission has put together an interactive map where you can see the other 19 bridges and learn something about the other 19 men who did not come home. So it is something that we are proud to do. I'm so grateful for the families for being here, thankful that you could be, and thankful to Ed for getting this program off the ground and started with us. So thank you all. We bless God bless the memory of Sergeant Hamilton, his family, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Bob. Somebody was asking me about a PennDOT bridge earlier today when we gathered, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, but it's like 3 years that I just can't struggle with, because it is. Working with PennDOT is brutal. I'm banned from calling PennDOT, actually. We'd also like to thank ETC Signs. They generously provide these signs for the bridges for us, so we want to thank them as well. The takeaway for me, and I hope I can convey that to everybody, is a Gold Star family is our responsibility. All of our responsibility. They have allowed us access to their memory, and it is our duty to make sure that that memory is held, fostered, and passed forward to future generations. Without that, people like George have been given up in vain. And we as a nation, as a community, we should not be able to sleep with ourselves with that. So I ask everybody today, as you leave here and go about your day, take notice to what you see around you. As you're traveling, you will see more of these green signs than you probably notice. There are quite a few. And it's a tribute to the memory of not only that man or woman on the sign, but also the Gold Star family that was left behind. So keep them in your prayers and thoughts. I know every time I ride over one of these bridges, I smile with a flood of memories that I've gathered over time. And I hope you too can do the same. In closing, I'd like to just mention tomorrow I'm going to step out of my role as a Vietnam advocate. I've been asked to do a dedication in Falls Township for a private first class Nate to Tample. So if you're in the area in Falls Township tomorrow, 11 o'clock in Falls, we're going to honor another young man who died at the age of 19 in Iraq. The next dedication for the county, though, is on Tuesday, May 26th. It will be in honor of Sergeant John Russell Milliken of Spinnerstown. He was killed in Vietnam on August 18th, 1968. Please rise as Jim McDevitt sounds taps, and the American Legion Post 242 can retreat the colors.
Assembly and salute.